Little bit of truth here. If your business is struggling to retain customers, suffering from lackluster brand image, it's time to address the pain and frustration of watching your hard-earned customers slip away. Welcome to the Millionaire Wealth Principle 13. Build a contagious culture in your business and marketing, and discover how a contagious culture can transform your business into a customer magnet and reinvigorate your brand. Say goodbye to the agony of customer churn and hello to thriving success. Welcome back, Alchemists. This is the 52 Weeks to Wealth. My name is Walter Murillo. We've been on this journey now for 13 weeks together. But of course, some of you are OGs. Some of you have been on this journey with us for the last 5 years. We're doing these wealth principles every single year. And the reason a person comes back, you may ask yourself, why would they keep doing this for such a long time? It's because we're obsessed with making large sums of money passively. So the money comes in a passive manner. Michael Shine likes to say it this way. He says massive passive income. And the reason we do it this way is because life is too short. So show of hands if you're here to double your income and double your net worth. Still on the mission. Excellent. And then on top of that, we don't want to just have a bunch of money. We want to have a meaningful life. And so we're all committed to building 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. Show of hands if you still commit to building your millionaires. Excellent. So this is a kind of a new concept for us. Be contagious, right? We want to be contagious is not something that you would say back in 2019, 20, 21. If you said the word contagious, people thought something different. But we are genuinely focused now on getting our business to be contagious. Show of hands if you remember the pandemic, how crazy it was, where everybody talked about the same thing, operated the same way. Everybody knew masks. There were so many things that we knew how to do because it was just spread. It just happened overnight. And it just seemed like it went from Italy over to London, and then London brought it over to New York. And then there was a point where if you were coming from New York, they wouldn't let you into Florida because they were like, nah, we saw what happened there. Freeze up the border for a little while. And then before you knew it, everybody had rules except for Texas and Florida. Texas and Florida said, we're back to normal. Too much to remember for us down here. Show of hands if you remember watching that and thinking, what is happening? I remember that feeling of like, I don't even know what to do. Like, it's just so overwhelming. It's so intriguing. I was very intrigued by how quickly this thing was spreading. I was like, is nobody doing anything about this? That was my thought. It's just going so fast. It's out of control. And isn't that what you'd like your business to be like? Just exploding and expanding so fast. It's out of control. Nobody can stop it. It goes through walls. It goes through barriers. It goes through barricades. It goes over oceans. Show of hands if you love that kind of money flowing to you. Just everybody knows about your business and it just keeps growing and expanding. That's why we're using the word contagious in our marketing. And that's why we're using the word contagious in our culture, because many of you are past the point of working just for yourself. Just every day, do all the work is on you. Some of you are hiring people. Some of you are building teams. Some of you have passive investments like real estate. And some of you are looking to get to that next level. And so in order to do that, we've got to figure out a couple of things that are really important. One is, where are all the deals, right? Where are all the deals? Because if we don't have deals, we don't have a business. We can't find property. We can't rent it out. Two is, where is all the money? Because once you have a deal, you then need money to invest into the deal. Many broke people come to me and say, man, like, I can't invest in real estate because I don't have money. It's like, no, you can't invest in real estate because you don't have a deal. Because if you had a deal, it would be a lot. You'd be and I would be having a different conversation. Like, I got a deal. Do you have money? It would be a very different conversation. And then likely you'd find somebody like me or somebody in this community who is ready to invest with you. And then the third part is, once you do close, man, how do I make this thing work? it's not like you put a quarter in and then money spits out. This isn't a coin op building. This kind of takes, you put management in place, you work with the management, you put tenants in place, you hope the tenants stay, and you manage them well. So culture becomes a major part towards the end, or the end cycle of this process of a property. And in the beginning, culture is also how we find all of our deals. Many people started this business doing something called wholesaling. Show of hands if you've heard of wholesaling. Real estate investors who've heard of it. So wholesaling is just a lot of work. It's a ton of work, and the return on investment is getting smaller and smaller and smaller over the years. But the people who still have access to deals have learned something, and they've gotten really good at it. It's called getting other people, OPP, other people's time, OPT, to send you deals. Other people, other wholesalers sending you deals, sending you properties. And some of us have even leveled up to the whole other level of working with real estate agents and getting real estate agents to send us deals. And in the multifamily space, that's primarily where most of the deals come from, is actually brokers, from realtors, because wholesalers typically are not really in the multifamily space as much. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to find the deals today, and more importantly, the structure behind creating it so that other people do it for you. We're also going to talk about capital raising, because that's what we're doing all weekend long. We're in a course currently called Master of Influence, and Master of Influence started yesterday, and we just all day yesterday, we're talking about NLP. We were talking about how to have conversations. So a person decides that they agree with you, that it actually kind of sounds pretty, I won't say that M word, but I will call it persuasive. It's very persuasive, the kind of conversations that we're talking about in Master of Influence. And today we're going to continue at 12 o'clock. From 12 to 4 o'clock, we're going to continue with modules 5 through 8. And then tomorrow we're going to start again at 12 o'clock, go from 12 to 4 with the third day of Master of Influence. We're going to be dealing with a lot more social media and presentation speaking tomorrow. So if you're in Master of Influence and you're going through the training with us, or you're in the Mastermind program and you have access to Master of Influence, just know from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock is your time to eat. But from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock, we're back in session, just grinding through the lessons. My goal for everybody in that class, is 25 of you, is to make you literally the master of influence. I want people to come to you with money and with deals, which is why this principle is so freaking cool that it lands on the same day that we're doing Master of Influence. No, I didn't plan that. It just kind of worked out. So this contagious culture, we want to eliminate employee fragmentation and employee turnover. Has anybody ever worked in a company where just people kind of left, like they come in and they left, come in and they left? I know Melanie Santos has like over 100 employees. And so she like just got her mind blown the other day. She's like, oh my God, I didn't realize there was this many people working for me. She just, she like one day out of nowhere looks at the report and is like, what the hell? That's a lot of human beings that I'm responsible for. And it's a good thing that she's the one responsible, not somebody else, because she's created a really good culture inside the company. And she continuously hammers on it, continues to work on it. She's got a training store she started so that people go back to the training store and get reinserted into that culture. Each one of you may not have the opportunity to have hundreds of employees, hundreds of staff, but wherever you're at, keeping your employees, keeping your staff, keeping your partners or your associates, as Walmart used to call us, they call us associates. Keeping them engaged and keeping them in the culture is really, really important. The second thing is authenticity, keeping your brand authentic all the way through. So as you start scaling up, bringing in property managers, you want them to manage your properties the same way you manage your properties. The people who are out there raising capital for you, the people who are bringing you deals, you want them to operate the same with the same morals and ethics that you operate with, because they're throwing your brand around, they're throwing your name around. So creating a little bit of consistency in your brand is really important. Customer connection, that third part, customer connection. If you scale up too fast, you tend to lose it unless you have a culture in place. And you'll notice there are companies, great companies like Tesla, over 100,000 employees, millions of cars sold, and every Tesla owner feels about the same, like they're the greatest person on the planet. It's just, they're like Apple owners, right? They own the Apple and they're like, I am literally the greatest thing because I'm connected to Apple. They've kept that customer connection, that customer relationship. And that's not through any one person. That's through a culture, a contagious culture. Who here has seen the contagiousness of Apple, right? It's like Apple users are literally sprayed with something and they want to spray everybody around them with it. Look, I use an Apple. You see what I've got? Ron and Doreen are both Apple users, so I say this cautiously with love. I also have an Apple because of the power of the spray. The fourth one is viral marketing. Viral marketing is something that starts up here, starts inside your head, and then it converts into somebody else's head. The idea behind it is sometimes viral marketing doesn't even have an image or a message or a logo or any kind of like visual thing attached to it. Sometimes it's a story that goes inside your head and passes to the next consumer, the next person. And those stories, those viral marketing stories, we're going to talk a little bit today on how to create one. It'll be up to you to create yours today, because we do all the action steps together, because that's how the 52 Weeks to Wealth works. It's not just information, and it's not just a bunch of really cool people high-fiving each other. We're here to take action. We're here to actually build a business, and every week we implement one of these new principles. And then the last one, sustained growth. A culture that aligns with your business goals and values sets the stage for long-term sustainable growth. Do not try to scale without your culture dialed in. If you do, you'll have the same mistake I did the first time I attempted to scale my business and then left to Las Vegas for 3 months to see how it worked. When I left, I had $10,000, $15,000 a month coming in passively. I had a beautiful machine. It looked like it was passive. When I left, it went from 15 to 12 to 7 to 5, and I had to come back. I flew right back. I drove right back home from Vegas. I was like, what the fuck happened? I had 25 agents when I left. When I got back, there was only 17 agents. And even after I got back, they were still dropping off. Like they were still dropping off after I returned because the effects of the culture I had left behind were residual. They just kind of took over. I was a component to the culture, and that was a failure in my scale, a failure in my expansion. So I want to make sure that you don't make any of those mistakes as we're going forward. I can't build an entire culture plan with you today because it takes weeks, it takes months of really dialing in your culture. But I can give you the framework with which to work from. Show of hands if you're down to dive in with us today. Awesome. So there is a book of the week. That book of the week will help you more, but I will tell you, the more books you read on the subject, the more you're going to understand it comes down to your core belief system. The first of all companies needs to be doing all the deals morally, ethically, and legally. If you want your company to be scalable beyond you don't want to like leave your company and 3 months later you're sued for shit. It needs to be done morally, ethically, and legally. All transactions, all deals. If at any point in your company that we do not do this, that is the point you will get sued for. Show of hands if we understand. In small, like I've seen guys who run their business in small little ways and then they try to scale it up and they get caught because this one thing they never looked at. They never even they were broken so much so that they didn't even know it was immoral or illegal. They just thought, nobody follows that rule. I'm not going to worry about it. At scale, those things will come to get you. So it's really important. One of the most important parts to scale is making sure that all components to your company are run morally, ethically, and legally. Everything is tracked. If you're one of those people who's running your business right now and everything's like cash behind the scenes, under the table, nobody knows about it, that will get you. That could be a sign that there are other things you're not paying attention to. You want everything tracked. It's all cool when it's cash, when it's just you. But then as it becomes staff, how are you tracking how much cash went in the drawer? It becomes a lot harder. So making sure that your systems are tracking everything from the beginning is another component. And just take notes, just write these things down. And as you're looking at your business, I want you to throughout the week, start this project. This is a project that may continue for the whole year for you. Some of you operate a little bit, we'll call them longer terms. Some of you will literally grind in this and be obsessed for the next 24 hours, 48 hours, and maybe put the final finishing pieces before you can scale. Don't rush, don't feel pressure, but know that to the extent that you maximize this, your scale will be impacted. I would still say do beta tests anyway. Right? Beta test adding a person on to see what's missing. It will be expensive to scale improperly. So start small. Any failures at this level, thank God you're so small. I say this every year. Every year as we grow and expand, I'm like, well, thank God it was only now. Thank God we made this huge mistake this year instead of next year, because next year we're exploding. The next year we're going even bigger. So fancy you agree. Going bigger every year. So any lesson that you learned this year, yes, big painful lessons. Glad I was this year. Next year is even bigger. So the second part to it is how people see your customer. What is the perception of the customer? And if you don't know who your customer is, let's think of that first, right? Who's your avatar? Who's the person you serve? Think about them. How do you want your employees, your staff, your associates, your partners to view the customer? If you're a capital raiser, if you're a real estate investor, if you are a wholesaler or realtor, or you're just a property manager, any one of them, if you're thinking of your customer, like for me as somebody who passively invests other people's money, right, takes people's money and puts it to work for them, that's a customer of mine, right? The person with too much money is a customer of mine. Also, the person who has the deal, who's doing the work for me, is also my customer. I have two customers, right? I've got the person operating the deal. I have the person who's asking me to put their money to work for them. We have two customers in that. That's think about it as the buy side and the sell side, right? You could buy product and then you end up repositioning the product to somebody else. So fans, if you can clearly visualize in your head who your clients are, who your customers are, Perfect. Excellent. So how do you want to feel about them? For me, when I'm working with somebody whose money I'm putting to work for them, I want that best kind of relationship. I want that person to know that I will fight so hard to make their money grow, no matter what the conditions, no matter what the market's doing, no matter how things are going. I'm going to fight my ass off to make sure that that money grows bigger or badder than I told them it would. Like security. They need to know that my money, that their money, literally I'm treating it like my own money, and maybe even more. Like I'm just like super protected, super secure, super analyzing. And then when I'm talking about the other side, the other customer, the person who's running the transaction, running the deal, the operator, they need to know that I'm going to bring the money, and I'm not going to hassle them, but I will coach them if necessary. I will be there as a coach to make sure the deal comes on track. Like they won't, an operator doesn't want to hear from the people who raised capital from, but an operator would rather not lose money. And so if you have the guidance to make sure that they don't lose money, you put that guidance in. And so that's one of the benefits to working with me as somebody who's investing into an operation or a deal is I'll be there to coach you to make sure you don't fuck it up. So that's my customer service. I want to make sure that my operators know that I love them so much that I will coach them. And I want to make sure that my borrower, my lenders, the people I'm borrowing, no, I don't borrow. The people whose money I'm putting to work for them, Vinny's got me my mindset working on this one. The people whose money I'm putting to work for them, in that situation, I want them to know like I love those people. I respect their money. I respect their legacy. I respect their family. I respect what they want done for it. So it's both sides, right? Both customers, you need to feel a certain way. So write down right now, really quick, how you want to feel, how you want your staff, your employees, your partners, everybody to feel about your clients. And I've had to do this inside Alchemist Nation, inside my own investment company. And this was early, way back in the day with me and Ron, like 8 years ago. I'm like, Ron, our investors are the shit. They are the greatest thing on the planet. These are the people whose asses we are like literally taken care of. Like we're just like, these are the greatest people on the planet. We're gonna take care of them no matter what. We never miss a payment. This was like a mindset that he and I just back and forth would like reinstate. We never miss a payment. Like every payment always comes through. They know, like during COVID, we paid everybody, right? There's no forbearance for us. Like we laughed at forbearance. Like people were like, oh, you can forbear. Like, ha ha ha. We don't do that. We always pay our lenders. Like that's just our relationship with our lenders. That's who we are. And that was a mindset that we had back then. Like we would just like constantly talk about it. So when we go and do deals, we take on new partners. It's the first thing I say to them. It's like, I will never call my partners or my investors and tell them that a payment's not coming through. That's not me. So we're going to have to make sure it works. Like it always has to work. We just won't do deals where I am put in a situation where I got to give bad news. Show of hands if that makes sense. So I just don't like to do it. It's not the way I'm going to run my business. So I'm only going to do very certain types of deals. So how you feel towards your customer needs to be written down. Like what you want your customer to feel about you, that relationship. Recently I had somebody who lent to us back in 2019 or 18, maybe 20. And he told me, he said, I had a lot of deals. I had a lot of money put out into a lot of different deals. And every one of my deals failed except for yours. You're the only person who not only paid me back, but also gave me the money you promised that you would give me. It was a 20% annual return. And we gave him, he was in with us for 2 years. We gave him 40% return on top of his money. And we did it early because he was in his bind because every other deal fell apart. He called us and was like, hey, can you help me out? I was like, you know what? We had other people we were going to pay first, but because of your unique situation, yeah, we'll put yours first. And he had a smaller dollar amount. It wasn't like he had hundreds of thousands that we had to move. This was a smaller investor. We were able to take care of him. That's the kind of customer service that you want to be able to have. So think about that as you're scaling into your business. The third thing, how do you want to feel about your employees? Right. And I've coached a lot of people who have told me early in the relationship that, man, it's so hard to hire people. Everybody sucks. Nobody works as hard as me. Nobody puts in the effort. Yes, Melanie, a little bit of you was in that conversation. And we shifted, and now like Melanie can say, my managers kill it. Like these are hardworking managers. They're taking over all the responsibility. They're doing way better than I would right now. Like they're doing everything. Each one of them is picking up consistently, and they're training great staff. And it was two parts. One, she had to believe, and two, she had to go and put it into act. And she's not the only one. We've had other people who are literally the same exact thing. In fact, I think I learned this from Mike Shine. He's like, I got the best power legals. Like these paralegals do all the work. He's like, they run the company. He says it all the time. Like, they run the company, they do this, they do all the stuff. When you start shifting how you want to feel about your employees, you'll be able to attract that type of staff, that type of partner, that type of associate. So write it down. How do I want to feel about my staff? How do I want to feel about the people I work with every day? How do I want to feel about my partners, the people I'm in business with? Write it down. How I want to feel about my managers, the people that I'm working with, my management. Just write it down. And these are feelings, but feelings are words, right? These are words that can be transferred to somebody else. This is building your culture. One of the things I loved about Walmart, and I was my first real job. I worked other jobs. I worked for flooring companies. I worked in retail. I did a lot of stuff. But then I worked at this company called Walmart when I was 18 years old. And they had this one rule, this one rule. They called it the golden rule. And it wasn't the one you think it is. They called it the golden rule at Walmart. It was respect for the individual, respect for the individual. And it meant so much. Like, they had examples of respect for the individual. It meant, eye contact, smile, ask someone if you can help them. And there was these rules, like within 10 feet of a person, you had to smile. That was like a rule, because that was respect for the individual. Making sure the shelves were easy to access everything, to make sure they were clean and neat. Because if they came into your house, you'd want that perception. This is our house. We want to make sure we're respecting the customer. This is their store, right? So we want to show respect to the individual. There was a lot of meaning behind that, and it's up to you to write down those meanings. So what is it that your company stands for when you're having these interactions with your staff, right? When you're training your staff, like, this is how we feel. This is how I want to feel about you. This is how I want you to feel about the customer. This is how I want you to feel about the place we're in, the mission we have. Man, real estate investors, think about this. What you do is so amazing. You're all in a house right now. Isn't that great? Like, as human beings, like, that's how human beings have been here for a while. It's because you can go back through history, dig some shit up, and see, like, wow, a cave that we lived in. Look at that. Like, humans always needed a place to stay. You go out in Egypt, and they're like, every so often just like rip up some sand, and they're like, whoa, look at all these rocks. These were like another place that humans were living in. You're in one right now. You're in a piece of history, right? It was built for you, right? Then you transferred it to you. Somebody, somebody had you in mind before you moved in there. And somebody still has you in mind because you still live in there, whether it's the government that you're paying taxes to, or your landlord, or a family member that you're living with, or creating housing for somebody else. We have the greatest job on the planet. Like, as real estate investors, we provide housing. We provide a place for families to grow, a place for our culture, our society, our species to continue expanding, right? To be safe, to be protected from the weather, and now you can actually go to the bathroom inside your house. How fucking cool is that? Like, there was a point where you had to go outside. That's some shit. That's crazy. Right? And if you want running water, it's like everybody's got it. Damn, we don't even have to like plug in our cell phones into like little plugs anymore. We can go straight to USB ports in our walls. Anybody seen those at the airport? It's like plug straight in USB. Our houses are so cool now. We're providing cooler housing. We got rid of lead paint, right? There's some mistakes. Back in the 70s, they're like, I paint everything with this crazy material. And then the kids are eating it and getting poisoned. Now kids don't get poisoned from the houses they live in, right? That's landlords who do that. That's property owners who make those changes, who make our properties safer, cleaner, safer, better, cooler, more functional, right? Some properties, I live in a property right now where if I walk down this block, I get access to this sweet ass pool, and I get this whole gym over there, and there's all sorts of really cool stuff. They're called amenities, not like Finding Nemo, not the anemones, but they're amenities, right? The things that you can add as a property owner that make the quality of the lives of your tenants even better. So like there's like a cool game that we're playing. It's not just about money. It's not just about the hustle. It's not just about beating people, legacy wealth, our families. Like, there's something beautiful that we actually do inside our businesses. And there's people who live there, right? There's like actual lives. Like, this is I've had some great property managers. And one of my first hires was actually my assistant, became my property manager. And she knew it, right? She knew. She was like, these families come first. She always knew that. But she also was a 50-year-old mother. So she knew how to tell them what was up. Like, she knew how to be like, okay, honey, like, I get it. I get that you want that fixed right now, but it's not getting fixed until you pay your rent. And she was tough. She was real tough. Portuguese lady in Fall River. Don't mess with her. So as you're writing all these things down, how do you want your employees to feel about their job? Right? I would tell it with Melanie. Like when they work at Subway, when they work for Best Subway, by the way, that's her branch, Best Subway. When they work there, they have a ladder they can climb. It's not just they're a sandwich artist, which by the way, sick name for someone who makes sandwiches. They're not just a sandwich artist. They got the capacity to be a store manager, or they have the capacity to be a support manager, or they could be a co-manager. They could literally be somebody who's just a step away from being a store manager or a regional manager. Now she has 9 stores, 9 locations. She's now looking for that next position. Who's going to get it? One of the store managers who's been training, who's been helping out the other stores, who's been looking at the other stores and taking them to the next level. Can you add layers into your company so that there's no reason for them to leave? Can you add layers so that a person can start working with you and stay working with you? Just something to think about. Write it down. Write down how you want a person to feel their growth and development is within your culture, within your culture. Now, all of this adds up to, I told you, viral marketing, right? It starts with your staff. It starts with you. It starts with inside the story you're telling. Everything you just wrote down is what makes it viral, is what makes it interesting. The reason people would pass me more deals in Fall River was because they knew I cared about fixing the community. I cared about fixing up the properties, and I would brag about this is my story. I want you to keep an eye on what I'm saying here. Memorized sentence. So you may have to memorize your sentence. Don't memorize mine. Use your own. I've kicked out strippers, prostitutes, drug dealers, and people who are beating on their wives. That's what I do when I buy real estate. I kick out the deadbeats and I put in good families who are hard workers, blue collar workers, and I fix the buildings and I give them a good place, safe place to live. If you want to sell your house to somebody and you care about the city you live in, you should sell it to me instead of some schmuck who's just going to put whoever pays rent and destroys areas, destroys communities. So fans, if you understand why people sold to me over somebody else. I never mentioned price. I only shared how I operated, what I was doing. And I was it's like nobody hears those words in a professional setting. So I'd say stripper, prostitute, drug dealer, beating on their wives, like domestic violence, beating on their wives. Like that instantly in their head was like, whatever he's doing, this guy stands for something. I don't want to mess with him. I don't want to pass this to somebody else. Like this is the kind of person who I want to be managing these things. And it really worked for people whose buildings had that shit in it. It really worked for people who had tenants they were afraid of, tenants they were scared of, tenants they didn't want to have disputes with because they were afraid of the repercussions. When I came in as a very gritty kind of property manager, they were like, oh shit, like it's about to go down. Like, oh, I'm going to sell to you because you're about to give these guys what they deserve. Here I was thinking I'm going to screw the next owner, but you know what? I'll make it work for you because you're about to take care of business. And that's what I've been dreaming about, fantasizing. I wish I could do, but I could. And I've heard them say I could never do it, but man, I'm glad you're going to do it. These guys just need to be taken care of. All right. Sign right here. The price will be a little lower because of the work I got to do. I get it. It's totally worth it. So fans, if you understand that, when I would go to properties and I had people say, yeah, my friend told me this is how you operate. I got a property just like that. I need you to come down, because it was memorable. It was a story. I told the story of how I went and changed a block. And this is what I did. I did this. I kicked these people out. And then I put in good families, changed the block. I told them you can go drive by, go take a look. All the buildings that are painted the same color, those are mine. Right? That was me. So friends, we're getting this. That I don't know what your story will be, but it should have those compelling hooks at the very beginning. Compelling. These are the people that lives are going to change because I exist. The bad people. Here are the bad people. My enemies. My enemies. Your enemies. Here's who I'm taking down when I come in and do a deal with you. Here's the enemy that we're destroying together. And here's the people we're serving together. Here's the place we're going together. Right? Your dream of what this property could have been is now going to be fulfilled through me doing what I do. So fans, if you caught the two components of that story. Excellent. You can always watch this again because it's recorded. You're welcome. So every week we do a book of the week. The 52 Weeks of Wealth is not just about education. It's not just about actions, one time, one group here all together working together. It's also about how do we implement this after the call. So, maybe while we're at work, we can come up with a different idea. Maybe we're in the gym, maybe we're doing our morning meditation, or we're doing our savers. So we can either listen to the audiobooks, or we can actually do the books, read them, and go a little bit further and deeper into this. Now, me and Michael Shine, we sat down with the 52 Wealth Principles, and we said we need a book to each one of these, because the principle hits you, but then throughout the week, you need something to keep it going, to give you more depth on the principle, because you're a human being, and the more you understand, the more you'll implement. The more you grasp the concept, the more memory points there are, the more likely you are to take the actions you just wrote down. We also required actions, which is why we do it every single week, like we just did. Wrote those down. I'm going to require that you go out into your business and implement on some level one of these things, even if it's just as simple as you print up a document that says this is our culture. It could be a one-page document, a paragraph of culture. It could start with one page, one paragraph, and just add to it. The culture document is a living document. It's designed to grow. So me and Mike sat down, and we were like, okay, 2 hours. We're going to implement. We're going to put all these books together. And then we shifted, and it didn't come out with all of them. So we're like, okay, we need 2 more hours. So we looked at all the books we read, and this is where we came up with these books. Darina told me at the beginning of this call, she's like, you probably should tell your origin story. So for those of you who've listened already, 33 minutes and don't know who I am, my name is Walter Morello. I started from absolutely nothing. I came from a city that was known for its drug addicts, heroin capital of Massachusetts, and I built a bunch of real estate, right? So if you're like, oh, I know that. Yeah, I literally built a real estate empire in a city and state that everybody said don't invest in. Everybody said don't invest in Massachusetts. Everybody said don't invest in Fall River. If you're going to invest in Mass, don't invest in Fall River. And so I still built an empire there. Got up to 44 units, 42 units with my business partner. And eventually, he and I were able to get to the point where we started all this Alchemy Station. But before that, I got up to 5 units and then went through a divorce and nearly lost everything back in 2015. And from that point, I had to start building back up. And it wasn't my properties or my business that I built up. I had to build this. It was my mindset. It was my education. It was my network. It was the people around me. And I got around some people who were really crushing it and killing it. And that's why, I spend most of my time now teaching, educating, guiding. So by 30, I was financially free. By 32, I was a millionaire. And by 34, I was a multimillionaire. Now remember, 2 years prior to financial freedom, I was going through a divorce. At 28, I was going through a divorce. It was the worst time of my life. But 2 years later, I was able to be financially free. 2 years later, I was able to be a millionaire. And then 2 years later after that, I was a multimillionaire. Now at 38, I'm feeling really young. I'm about to have my first child. And I've got this amazing community who I'm on this mission with to build millionaires all across the country. We have currently 28 active events with like full leadership teams, and they're building trusted teams. They're starting to build their teams, their masterminds designed around each one of those locations wants to build 100 millionaires. So let's give all of our leaders a big round of applause. Everybody on the call who's a leader, who runs a group, who's supporting their trusted team, who's supporting their attendees, their members. And without further ado, Michael Shine does our book of the week every week. He's the keeper of the books, the holistic attorney, the closer. Michael Shine, what is the book of the week?
All right. So thanks, Walter. Appreciate it. Little background about why I wanted to do these books as well was that when we used to meet in person, people would be asking me questions because I was an attorney. I still am. And I was like, I'm coming to learn about real estate from Walter, just like the rest of you. So I never felt like I had the personal knowledge, but I had read a bunch of books, and I noticed that if I could give people a reference to a book, for example, Gary Keller's The One Thing, or any of the books that we've read, Science of Getting Rich is amazing. And that just seemed like it made sense when Walter went to Zoom and all that kind of stuff. So it's good to have outside knowledge helping us out. So yeah. So this week's book is Contagious, Why Things Catch On by Jonah Berger. And so Jonah has this thing called, it's an acronym called STEPS, which is short for social currency, triggers, emotion, public, practical value, and stories. And this is a way to get your brand to become contagious and to go around and have everybody want to want to buy whatever you're selling. And there's a lot about this book that's amazing and very valuable, but I can never get past the $100 Philly cheesesteak. So just as one of the stories towards the beginning, they talk about this restaurant, fancy restaurant that started selling $100 Philly cheesesteak. And it kind of fits all the stuff that Jonah Berger's talking about, which is, imagine if you heard about that. Wouldn't you be telling your friends right away? Holy shit, you could get a, Philly cheesesteak in Philly, I don't know, anywhere from $5 to $20, but $100, like what is it about this cheesesteak? And you'd be telling your friends, and obviously this cheesesteak, it's here now. I've never been to this restaurant, but now I'm telling all of you about this $100 cheesesteak. Proof is in the pudding, or in this case, the proof is in the cheesesteak. So yeah, this is a great book for getting your product, your service contagious. Read this book, go through the steps. He's very left brain, gets you to see the steps you need to take, and all 6 of these steps, STEPPS, are very valuable, and it's super important to make your brand go contagious. So that's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, keep the round of applause going. I got another story from that book. So there's a point in the book where he talks about a speakeasy, and the speakeasy's name is Please Don't Tell. And the idea behind this speakeasy is that if you tell everybody not to tell, then there's a good chance that they would tell. So exclusivity of a thing actually gets people to go and talk about your thing. So making it really exclusive, making it really special gets the people who know about it telling other people about it. It's one of the cool things about Alchemist Nation, because people see Alchemist Nation, they'll ask us like, what is that about? And it's like, oh, well, it's this cool real estate community that buys real estate. It's kind of what we do. And Dorina the other day, actually, I saw this happen. Literally saw this happen. I was in a sushi restaurant. I walk in, I'm wearing the hoodie. And this guy says, there's a girl who comes in here all the time wearing that hoodie. What is Alchemist Nation? And so it's just a cool real estate community. They help us get more passive income. The idea is retire young, retire rich. And he was like, bro, I got to look that up. Like that sounds like right up my alley. Bartender, right? Every bartender is thinking about financial freedom. That's why they got a job like that. It's like, it's fun. I make a quick money, but I don't want to do this forever, right? And I saw Andre at the gym this morning. So I'm there. I'm doing legs, of course. And Andre came up and he was like, I was like, bro, like, what are you doing? He actually asked me, he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm, doing like 100 units. And he said, cool, cool. So I was like, what are you doing? And he said, man, like anxiety's getting in my way. Anxiety's getting in my way. I was like, bro, like anxiety gets in all of our way. Like I feel that, that's exactly why people don't close on deals or find deals. And I was like, so like, the deal, man. I was like, just send us a message. Send any of us a message. Any of the millionaires on the call, just reach out to us. Any of the coaches, and just if anxiety stops you from getting to the next deal, just send us a message, and like we'll work you through it. And he's like, oh man, okay, all right. I guess, right, Andre? He's like, I guess the next step is I gotta go find a deal. Like, there you go, brother. Like, go get it. Let's give Andre a round of applause. So I'm in the gym this morning. And it's cool because the more you talk about what you're doing, the more you believe in what you're doing, the more you help other people do it, like people will tell others about you. And that this book really to me was such an important lesson for that, because of this $100 sandwich, because of the speakeasy, please don't tell. I love that I love the whole concept, right? That's why sometimes I'll be like, we're gonna do this thing later, master of influence. We're gonna teach people how to hypnotize others and convince a person to do a thing. But if you're in, you're in. If you're not, well, tell somebody about it. Don't tell somebody about it. I don't know how to say it, but keep it real. Keep it real. If you make money doing something with us, just people will ask you one day. That's all right. Just keep making money. Your experience, your example is the best referral. Like that's what really makes it all work. So my favorite part of doing these trainings is the Q&A. I love the question and answer session. This principle, if you choose to take action on it, will change your life. Creating a contagious culture around you around what you're doing, around your mission, around your message, around your company, around inside your staff, will, by the way, it's a game. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Like, you get to do some really cool things as you build and grow. And at the same time, it's so rewarding when you start seeing it work, when you start seeing it happen around you. So let's give everybody on this call a big round of applause. Wealth Principle 13 is complete. You still got action steps you got to go take. Wealth Principle 14 next week is focus on the 80-20 principle in sales and marketing. So if money is a little tight, that principle, we're going to focus. We're going to really dial you in. And yeah, I saw Mike's face just now. Okay, money's not tight. If you want more money coming into your life, then we're going to focus on the 80-20 principle between sales and marketing. We're focused on the most important aspects to getting more business and more clients, more leads, more real estate deals, or maybe more capital, depending on what your business is and where your arm is in the real estate space. But 80-20, we're going to look at it next week. This week, focus on your contagious culture. Let's talk about real estate. Yeah, we got the next 18 minutes. We're going to talk a little bit about real estate. So first question wins. First unmute wins. And let's go. Dorina, you're up.
Thank you for the lesson today. It was awesome. I actually have two questions. So I hope they're real estate related. So you know how you've been lately obsessed with Dunbar numbers, and you start with 3 to 5, intimate friendship, your circle 5 and 15 and 150 and so on. And you also brought an example of Apple, Tesla, super huge companies with massive followers and contagious culture. So how do you use those numbers? Because those followers and big fans are way beyond the Dunbar's numbers. So how do you keep so many people on the same page? That's kind of a question number one. Number two is like, all of us are working remotely, our companies are remotely. How do you keep that contagious culture if a company is completely remote? So I mean, I've never seen my employees, or I've never seen in person, because kinesthetic goes away, like hugging, all of this goes away. How do you create that culture if we are all virtual?
Oh, that's good.
That's
So
good.
who here has had a similar challenge? Similar challenge or thought about it? Okay, so if you haven't gotten to the point of scale, it will happen, right? It'll happen sooner than you think. So it's better to plan for it now. So Dorina, what I've seen in our company and when I compare it to other companies is, and I'll think of Walmart, because I worked at Walmart and they had over 100,000 employees when I worked there. Now they're over 1 million. So the second largest employer in the world, second only to, by the way, the military, the government. So military has 2 million employees. So what is it that creates the culture itself? What is it that creates all of the consistency? Is actually the culture. It really does come down to that. Walmart had it so dialed in that you had training modules you had to take every 3 months. There were training modules you had to go in and take your recertification of being an employee. Like, that's what the training was. You were going back there to retrain on being an employee. And you had to take these modules every year. These were consistent modules that had to go through. When you leveled up to a different place in the company, you had to go and take different modules. So they had their training very consistent. They also had their managers have very consistent training. The managers were practically spending 50% of their time in education. Like, they were constantly being pounded into how to take this new module on, employee diversification. I remember when Walmart went into diversification, they all had to get trained on how to do that. They all had to take harassment classes, like every 3 or 4 times a year, they'd go and take harassment classes. So automating your education system, getting it so that it's all recorded, and each layer of management has the same training. That's one component to it. The other one is the cultural components that the managers bring to the table. At Walmart, I saw this, and the reason I share with Walmart is because, like, they're such a big company, and today they're still operating the same way they were operating 15 years ago when I worked for them. They have a morning meeting. Every shift has a meeting, and every shift gets together for 5 minutes. That's all it is. It's 5 minutes, and they do a little song and a dance. Literally, it's a song, and there was a dance. And that morning meeting gets them on page with one topic, one principle, one thing. The manager teaches one thing per day. That's it. Hey, by the way, want to really focus on smiling today. Hey, want to really focus on making sure the customer knows where to find things. Like, seek out customers who know how to find things. Today, this principle, we're going to make sure that everybody in the store is going one department over and like walking a customer all the way across the store. Can you walk a customer all the way across the store? Right? Like if the customer says, hey, I'm looking for this and it's all the way across the store, walk them there. Remember the principle. We don't just point at a customer. We bring them to there. Anybody who's been in retail knows these are rules, right? Walmart had them pounded into the management team who is putting that into the staff every single day. So to give that to what we do in our company is literally daily meetings. Like every day, the management team gets together, and every day the managers are in communication with their team, whoever their team is. One of the things we've done very good is we keep our teams down to 3 and 4 people, because you can't have dialogue beyond 3 and 4. So when we have team meetings, it's 3 or 4 people at a time. And if we need larger meetings, it's more of a direct conversation. It's like usually me just saying, hey, everybody, this is what's going on. But a meeting to develop a brainstorm session is never more than 4 people, because like Dunbar's number teaches, we can't have conversations in more than 4 people. 5 people, we stop being conversation, we start being talking to. I'll give you a visual example of that. I know, Dorina, you like this one. So this is a visual example of Alchemist Nation itself, our operations manager, and then our dream managers who manage our community leaders. So right now I'm in the dream manager role, where my job is to reach out to each one of the leaders and make sure they're doing okay. So I have these relationships, but they have the relationships with their trusted team. The purple are their core trusted team, and the red are their secondary trusted team. So the core would be the mortgage broker. Let me scroll in a little on this for you. This would be a mortgage broker, an attorney, and maybe a financial planner. And then the rest might be a property manager, an accountant, a CPA, or credit repair specialist, all of those people. Then these blue, this is the attendees to our events. These are the actual attendees, because each one of these people only has 3 people they got to pay attention to. It's a lot easier for the community to grow. We don't give a person 10 people to talk to or 20 people to talk to. It's, hey, you got these 3. So it allows us to stay really tight and keep the relationships really tight. And you see that in most companies. No customer service person is working more than 3 people at a time. It's usually 1 person at a time, and there's usually a line. And that's how they make sure that each customer is treated properly, as 1 person at a time. Respect for the individual goes all the way back to that core one. Does that help, Dorina?
Yes. And I have more questions, but I think we should give an opportunity to someone.
What are the questions? Go ahead, Dorina. We'll take yours.
Well, to me, it's a phenomenon how, again, these big companies, Apple, Tesla, even Walmart, are going beyond Dunbar's numbers. That they're able to, you gave a bunch of examples, but it's still like there's contagious culture, and maybe that's the key word, but there's more than 500 people that can stick together in those companies. And I'm stuck on those numbers because that's where the core circle of one person is built, or one company is built. But they went into millions of people thinking the same thing.
So here's another one. Think about this. Property managers, maximum people they should ever manage is 100 people. So that's something to write down, by the way. You never want a property manager who's managing more than 100 people. So how do you have a property management company that's got tens of thousands of units under management? They have property managers managing subsects. So when Ron and I got to 84 units, we started looking at each other and being like, bro, this isn't going to work. Like, we're starting to get capped out, because really I was the property manager. Really, I was doing a lot of that work. And we started realizing we were going to have to bring somebody else on to kind of split it up. And that's what the best managers do, the best real estate investors do. And you see it right now with us, right? We have 35 units out in Decatur, Illinois. It's a separate property manager from the units we have in Massachusetts. That's a separate property manager. So that's how we're able to scale up. And then we have different asset managers. So as you scale, the 150 number is something you should never go after in business. You should always try to be short of it, right? 100 people. 100 people makes a lot more sense. I think Gary said the military operates this way: 3 and 4, 3 and 4, 3 and 4, 3 and 4. So 3 and 4 teams makes a whatever, 3 or 4 of that makes whatever, and continues up to, brigade and all these different sized groups. So when you're looking at these monster companies, like how the heck do they work? Just look at the city you're in, right? Because old culture, like old history of human society, could never really cap past 150 for like tribe size. But then you'd get these developments that had 2,000 people living in them. Back in Egypt, we still see these cities of like there was like 2,000 residents living in there. How did that happen? It's because they had subsections, subgroups, subcategories, and that creates more subcategories. So you can have 100 managers who are managing 100 managers who are managing 100 managers who are managing their thousands of staff. You still all go all the way back up to a CFO, a COO, and a CEO. There's a 3 at the top, but they now manage their separate branches of leaders who manage their separate branches of leaders who manage their separate branches of leaders who finally all manage their separate branches of teams. Does that make sense? So when we're thinking about scaling up, we still have this kind of triangle to work out from. And those 3 categories will always be there in business. You have to worry about your sales and marketing, you keep your operations, and you keep your finance going. Those are the 3 branches to your business. Right now, you, the entrepreneur, are running all 3. Right? Bill Dorina, you actually run kind of more of the sales and marketing side with me. Ron runs finance, and Gary does a lot of operations. But that kind of concept for each one of your businesses is always going to exist. So it's really, can I attract leaders who can attract leaders who can attract leaders? And in real estate, that's why we just pay leaders, right? Property managers are just leaders, just managers, right? Like you can just pay. That's the beauty of this business, is you don't have to go and train a manager. It's like they come literally, the printing everywhere every day. The new property manager, a real estate agent becomes a property manager, or a contractor decides they're going to get their real estate to become a property manager. Every day we have management built into our business. You don't like one, find the next one. So it's like Subway is a little harder. Melanie does have to actually train her staff to be great managers. So when we're looking at breaking beyond and really scaling up and getting past Dunbar's number, you can't get past Dunbar's number. You in your life can't get past having those relationships. Like you just can't like maintain the people's names and the relationships, the memories. But what you can do is bring in really great managers who can handle more people, who can support a much larger staff, who can support more than you're capable of doing all by yourself. So for each one of you, especially the syndicators, I see this all the time with my syndication buddies who have 4,000 or 5,000 units. Like they've got property managers, and those property managers are property managers, right? They take on 100 or 500 units, a 500 unit building. That's a team that they took on, right? It's not just one manager. They may have one company that they're working with, but that company has a team that's running those 500 units. So hence, if this is making sense. Awesome. Let's give it a round of applause. It's a great question. We found a way to tie it back into real estate. Go ahead, Heather.
Yes, I just wanted to add one thing that you mentioned about the managers having managers and managing managers, and you're so right, because I used to coach in large companies. I had clients from Facebook. Many of them were managers, but Facebook is a massive company with a lot of people. But the managers pretty much have a limited amount of people that they manage. I mean, it was just not possible. So it was a top-down thing. Manager, they had, managers, and they had managers there, and then they had a staff at the bottom. So those companies are pretty much structured differently than a real estate company, as would be structured. I think that the ability to be more personal is greater with a real estate. The managers that I had interaction with in Facebook were always unhappy about the fact that they didn't have more interaction with their staff, but they were compelled to because they were being paid. So, so it's a whole different motivation, in those companies like Tesla. I also had clients in Tesla, by the way. So it's a whole different motivation. I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
I love that. And Heather, honestly, as a coach to leaders or managers, you could be a leader coach just in one of those companies and never run out of clients.
Never,
right? Because
never,
there's
ever.
so many managers.
Yeah.
And I remember the same thing at Johnson & Johnson when I worked there. It was 2,000 people in my building. And I want to say 10% were managers. Like there's a whole wing of like 200 managers in the company. and they put, they had the industrial work floor where all the people were like creating the machines, the knees, the hips, the joints and stuff. And then I was up in this administrative department that was doing all the analytics, and there was a bunch of us. There was a bunch of analytics, but we were all in different departments. They just shoved analytic guys all together in a room, and like that's kind of how they operated. It was all the managers had a wing, the analysis departments had wings, the quality department had wings, and they had the same problem, right? But the managers kind of would work together and collaborate, and then they'd go out to their teams. And every company runs a little bit different, but as you grow, you start seeing the need for managers. And from what I've read and what I've seen in my own life, you don't give somebody more than 12 people, right? Just beyond 12, like the team starts falling apart. So great teams are about 3 to 4 people. That's like a really good, powerful core team. 5, 6, it's a good space. You get up to 12 and somebody's not getting touched. Like something's falling apart somewhere. Even Walmart, when I was there, I was a manager at Walmart, and I had managed 3 people. That's all they gave me. My brother was a manager at Walmart. I think he managed 8 or 12. And every one of us, we were all the department managers. They were managed in departments. We managed our little cluster of people. And then we had assistant managers over us who managed a series of department managers. Then you had the store manager who managed the assistant managers. And that's a structure you see in most companies. So yeah, I love the conversation. Let's give Heather a round of applause. Great question. It's funny, we're talking about we're talking about managers, we're talking about leadership, but that's really what contagious culture is based on, right? Like if you ever want to replace yourself, you're replacing yourself with, guess what? A manager. You're replacing yourself with a leader. You're replacing yourself with somebody who can keep the culture going beyond you. Really, a cheerleader, right? The high five, the energy, the charismatic character who's like, guys, like, let's go make some money today. Let's go serve some customers. Let's buy some real estate. Let's raise some capital. That's who you're replacing yourself with. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be just like you, because we know you're perfect. You're beautiful. You're smart. You're intelligent. You know what you're doing, each one of you. But they got to be damn close. They got to be unique. They got to be good at that one thing that really is the most important piece in your company, and that's the culture. If they can nail the culture, they don't have to be the smartest person in the room, right? If they can nail the culture, you can surround them in smart people, right? That's your goal. Is your managers don't have to be smart. They need to be strong cultured, like really tight on your culture, and then you surround them with smart people, right? A great manager, it just really, really holds to the culture and just leverages the smart people you put around them. I think we oftentimes, maybe it's not you. Maybe I'm the only one who makes this mistake, but I oftentimes try to put a really smart person in my position to replace myself. And that really smart person generally will lack the cultural skill necessary to bring the whole team around. It's really a people person. That a manager, their skills are not necessarily tactical. They're more people-based. They're more relationship-based. They're just really good at getting the whole community, the whole tribe, the whole room around the idea of what your culture stands for. And Alchemist Nation, our leaders, their job is not to know how to run the CRM. It's not to know how to be super technical and buy all the real estate. It's their job to say, hey, there's the realtor. That's the course you could take. This is the mortgage broker. Here's the attorney. You got a question about law? Here's the guy. Here's the financial planner. That's their job, is to be the director. Like every one of you knows the saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So we don't train our leaders to be the smartest person. We train them to be the most helpful person, to be the person who guides the team, who guides the community, who guides the transaction. Says, hey, well, does it make money? Okay, cool. That's still what we stand for. Do we buy at a 20% discount? Cool. That's something we stand for. Are we using OPM, other people's money? Cool. That's something we stand for. We're not over leveraged, right? We're right amount of leverage. Cool. That's something we stand for. They can keep an eye on the culture. Like these are the things that we focus on. Take one more question before we jump off, or share something that.
I got a question about this management stuff. So in big, huge companies, like the CEO says this, by the time it gets down to the bottom, it's not always that.
That's a failure to communicate. Yeah.
Well, it's communicated. Everybody knows what it is. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm talking about is the cruising world. You can go on one ship, it's this way. You go on another ship, it's that way. Right. It's not the same on every ship. Matter of fact, one ship even has old stuff on it. It is an older ship.
So what about McDonald's, Gil? If I went to McDonald's in Woonsocket, Wisconsin, and then I went to McDonald's in Tarpon Springs, would I get the same type of burger, same fries?
Yes.
Of course I fucking would, right? That's communication. They've dialed it in so damn good. I'd say the cruise industry has a way to go, a long way to go.
Oh, okay.
But also they don't have 13,000 locations. They don't have 13,000 boats, so they haven't had the practice to get there. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh,
I just realized when you were talking, you know what company doesn't have it down like McDonald's? Dunkin' Donuts.
That's true.
Every time you get, my drink used to be a medium iced coffee, extra. And oh my God, every time was different, no matter what they did. I don't know if they need like a sugar dispenser or something, because some of the people would throw like 18 sugars in there. But yeah, I think it's all communication. I will say that like Elon Musk at Tesla put the engineers right next to the designers, so that if there was an issue, they could turn to their left and say, hey, I'm having this issue. So sometimes maybe it's being closer together. Yeah.
I think it is. It depends on the company and the product. And Gil, you brought up a really good point. And I think this is how, for most of you, as you scale up, you're going to find that you're even worse than Dunkin' Donuts, right? Or at least I was. I think I still have so many things to work on. You go to Fort Lauderdale's event with Debbie, right? Go to Fort Lauderdale's event with Deb, and then you go to Tampa's event with Gary and his team, and then you go to Orlando's event with Dina, and you're going to get 3 different experiences. And we're still working on like what it is, but I think they're all great experiences. So there's some components that we don't want to fix, and then there's other things that we're like, okay, like that should be consistent. Right? Everybody should check in when they come in. Like there's some things that we know for sure to work on. And Gil, into each one of you is like practice and experience, and ask your customers. Like ask the people who you're serving. Dorina has a poll she wants to run today that I just remembered because I thought of the concept of ask. Dorina, you wanted to do something with the summit. It was the name of the summit.
Oh, yes. We still have 40 people on the call. I would love to pose a question. It will show up on your screen. We were considering slightly change to the name of our summit this year based on who we serve, who we want to attract. So with your permission, I'm going to run this real fast. And it's only 2 questions.
Okay,
so the idea
question
maybe
is...
call it Alchemist Nation Summit or Business and Real Estate Investors Summit. It's still a summit. We still know that we're building 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. And this event is mostly like internal for our community, but would love to grow. And I think the name would attract more people. So just here to know your thoughts.
Awesome. So for everybody who is on Facebook, basically the question is, what names for the 100 Millionaire Summit or for Summit 2024 resonates or attracts you more? We took away the option of 100 Millionaire Summit because we know that name scares a lot of people. I have more times than I can count been told millionaires is intimidating. What is this event about? And so a lot of people ended up not coming to the summit or not learning about it because of the name of it. So even though we are committed to building our 100 millionaires, we're going to make that our own little secret, and we'll let them know once they're at the event what we're doing to them. So the name options. Yes, Dorina?
The
name options are Alchemist Nation or Business and Real Estate Investors Summit. Go ahead, Dorina. What are you saying?
But it shows that guys cannot vote if they're panelists or...
Oh, no kidding. Panelists can't vote? Okay, drop in the chat. Just drop in the chat which one you like more.
Yeah, I guess I'll save the... It's my first time doing the poll, so I'm sorry.
It's all right, Dorina. You're perfect.
What are the 2 ones again? What are the 2? I didn't hear the 2.
The options are Alchemist Nation Summit, and the other option is Business and Real Estate Investor Summit. So naturally some SEO in that second one. And then what do you want to get out of attending the summit in 2024? So that'd be the second question. And that's when you can drop on the Facebook group or you can drop it in here, goals. So we're prepping now who our speakers might be. We're prepping now what the topics will be. And we're keeping in mind where you're at and where your goals are for the year. Don't worry about anybody else. This is you personally. Just drop what you think would be best for your career, your business, your mindset, your personal development journey, your finances. What is the lesson or the topics or the discussions you'd like to see there? If it's more real estate deals, if it's specifics on how to negotiate or raise capital, drop it in there. If you want to know how to write contracts, any of it, whatever your thing is, drop that in. The name is important because Dorina has been going back and forth with me for months now. Like, what are we naming it? What are we naming it? If it's not 100 millionaires, what is it? So I said, why don't we just ask the community? They know best. Like, to them, this is kind of their thing, and we're just servants. So whatever name you feel strongest about is the one we'll run with.
Walter,
then,
can I say something? This is Joy.
Hey, Joy. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. Just about the name. We're always talking about.
I don't want you to sway. Drop your name thought in the chat there. I don't want you to sway the room.
We're always talking about branding, and so if you have the business and real estate, it's so common that nobody knows who you are, and you're so known for Alchemist Nations that you want to keep your branding like McDonald's. They never lose their branding.
That's true. They do have the golden arches.
I know. That's why it's the name Alchemist Nations. Yeah.
Thank you, Joy. Dorina, she didn't type, but she verbalized. So that is your opportunity to decide what we name the summit this year, what it's going to be, and what we'll have at it. And the sooner you give us these answers, the sooner we can start hunting for the right people to bring to the stages and kind of get the marketing going and get the funnels set up so that it's a lot easier for you to bring your friends. And just think about that too. Like, what would attract the people that you want to bring, the people you want to invest with, the people you want in your business? What do you think the name and the topics at the summit would be best to help support your tribe, the people who are coming to your events, the people who are in your life? Like, what would they be most interested in? And I'm okay with whatever you decide, because it's your family, it's your team, it's your career that I'm looking to shine and grow. So whatever works best for you. You know your people better than I do. That's kind of one of the problems of being this far back is you're kind of on the front lines. You know what you're facing every day, who you want to help, how you want to help them, who needs your help, and yeah, support you all the way. Awesome. So Dorina, you getting all this? Go ahead, Markina. Yep.
Are you allowed to use the Alchemist Nation on your own t-shirts, meaning print them yourself?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you don't have a t-shirt that's like Alchemist Nation, we eat babies. Like, anything like that would be a no all day. But anything positive, anything real estate related, if it helps your business, says like Alchemist Nation, we buy houses, like, yeah, like, of course.
Okay, I just wanted to know if we had that permission, Walter. Thank you.
Yes, Markana. Yes. If I see you misusing it, I'll send you a direct message. But other than that, you're fine. Use the brand. If you need logos, let us know. They should be all over the websites. You should be able to just grab the images right off the sites. But if you do need anything, just drop it right into the Mighty Networks, or you can drop it into the Facebook group, and we'll make sure that you have access to it.
Great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. The way I see it is, if you're committed to helping people, you're committed to building millionaires, doing all these morally, ethically, legally, there's nothing you can do with our brand that would do anything other than follow that mission of help more people buy more real estate. And that's why we designed the brand. The brand literally was something so we could get away from our own company. Ron and I are South Coast Capital investors. You won't ever hear about that. Right? People come to Alchemist Nation. They don't come to South Coast Capital Real Estate Investors Group. Right? We tried that. We did start that way, and it wasn't very attractive. So we shifted. We just use Alchemist Nation now, and it helps us build real relationships, build real community, and then if we invest with somebody, that's secondary. And that should be the same with each one of you. Is you use something that draws in enough people, and then the couple people you really connect with, you can tell them what you do, and then move them into your business. It's 11:11. Dorina, you got your poll? You got all your information that you needed? Yes? Awesome. So I'm going to end the poll. Hands up if you need any more time. Any hands need more time? We're good. Awesome. Give everybody who polled a big round of applause. Thank you for that. And each week I do make one request. I ask that you go out and smile today. Smile for somebody. Give somebody a little genuine piece of your happiness. They say that in order to get love, you got to give love. So send some love out there. If you don't have an opportunity to see anybody in person, shoot them a picture of you smiling. If you don't have a person you care about that needs a smile, just randomly pick somebody. Pick your landlord, pick the person who does your mail. It doesn't matter. Just get a smile out there to somebody. The more smiles you give away, the more likely you're to change or impact some people's lives. You don't know the power of the smile until somebody tells you 3 or 4 years ago they saw you in the hallway, that smile changed their life and they had a great day. Sometimes they never ever tell you. So make that request. And also for those of you who are coming into the challenge, it starts next week on Monday. So it's, oh no, shit. Yeah. I guess that's 2 days from now. The next recession proof challenge is on Monday. For our RPC folks, you know what it is. For those of you who don't know about the challenge, this message will not self-destruct, but your business might if you don't take action. So it's challenge.alchemistnation.com. It's $97. You pay once, you never pay again. This will be my last time teaching it myself. And then after that, we have a team that's going to be teaching the challenge. So get in there, learn it with me, run it with me, and hold the culture strong beyond. So next month it comes out the same exact way or better because we're really focused on the culture. We've recorded all of the trainings and we know what we're doing as far as passing it along. Each one of you has some work to do. There's no denying that 2024 is going to be the greatest year of all time. There's no denying that the opportunities in front of us are the opportunities that have never existed. All the deals you've missed in the past, yes, they're gone. They're done. There's nothing you can do about them. But all the deals that are happening today and around you, those are yours. Those are yours to take action on. Nobody else will bring it to you unless that's the culture you set up. So my strong suggestion is get out there, create some contagious culture, get charismatic about it, have some fun with it, get out of your comfort zone. Nothing grows in the comfort zone. Get into the strange spaces of other people's faces and give them a smile. Cheers to your success. You have a choice. Always work with the best. I'll see you next week. And for some of you, I will see you at 12. Yes, Master of Influence, 12 o'clock. Get some food. See you.
Thank you.